Woof, 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 woof. Woof, woof, woof. This is the sound of the barking dog being uploaded as an NFT. This is the sound of barking dogs being uploaded onto the blockchain. So that in essence, while in the future there are differing personal brands trying to bring different people onto the philanthropy energy grid, the global philanthropy energy grid that connects all human beings in the world by electricity. This is what we call the ability to be able to leverage technology, to be able to combine that with personal branding, to be able to combine that with philanthropy. That's the philanthropy energy, global philanthropy energy grid. Yeah. So in today's episode, we're trying to focus on a little bit and identify the lack of demand, the lack of supply and demand in the dog and cat fashion industry these days. It's something that is lacking, but there is significant demand. It is just not lacking. It is just a little bit lacking in terms of the market demand. It's something which is significant, obviously, in the world of humans, but in terms of the dog and cat world, the fashion industry is a little bit lacking. But there is significant demand behind that. Behind the lack of market demand is the demand based on the proven demand with day-to-day clothing that is obviously in demand for human beings. But the industry for fashion industry for dogs and cats is something that hasn't necessarily yet been realized. Whoa. And ultimately, at the same time, there is something new, similar to the Base application and the Zora application, which are two things which combine social media and like Instagram-like type of applications with the blockchain. And obviously, at the same time, there are various differing personal brand profiles for dogs and cats on Instagram, for example. So the intention is not only for the global philanthropy energy grid, for all people in the world to be able to become personal brands in essence, so that in essence they enter the edutainment market and we drown out the entertainment market, so that in essence everybody in the world is able to watch everybody else in the world to be able to become different sports, basically different sports by their personal brand, by the way that they are, by the way that they act. They're all different snowflakes. Everybody in the world has unique energy, and so therefore, by the way that they dress, by the way that they do their things, they, in essence, have a certain style, and that certain style corresponds to their sport. That's their business sport, in essence. So they're playing business sports, which in essence corresponds to, maybe in their free time, if they have a day job, their ability to add value to the global philanthropy energy grid, because all entrepreneurs in the world are directly adding value to solving problems in the world. So directly, a personal brand is in essence aligned with, as a business, a specific problem to be able to solve, in essence, almost at all given times, because that is the purpose for more or less the instance of the suck and pull and push and pull dynamic of markets. It's the demand to the supply connection, and the sucking energy comes from the demand side of the equation. So in essence, all edutainment that radiates from personal brands, in essence, aims to solve different problems in the world, because that's the way that business is constructed, and personal brands are businesses. Yeah. And so therefore, when we're trying to transition into the animal world to be able to try to bring more animals out from the animal shelter world into the society world, where they're able to realize their fulfilled potential at the same time, they themselves are also capable of being businesses, because they themselves are on things like Instagram, for example, and this new connection and merging of the blockchain with the social media world, as well as the fashion world and animals and cats and dogs at the same time, for fashion ability to be able to come out as a market, to be able to bring new clothing out for cats and dogs to begin with, which also then helps them radiate their own sport, their own energy, their own sport, their own unique personality, and also the unique problems that cats and dogs are able to solve at their own ways, on their own ways, as personal brands. In other words, that is something that it can also be brought out a little bit at a time through being able to personal brand cats and dogs, especially the ones in the animal shelters that necessarily are going to be put down or put to sleep otherwise, because they're always trying to bring about new space and have new space be opened up in the animal shelters for new inventory. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a business for them, because they adopt animals at the county shelter, but at the same time, they want to just get rid of inventory that they're not selling, which is kind of a sad tale and sad way to put it, more or less. So like having it also become like a little bit of a contribution to a global philanthropy, energy, amusement park, and carnival at the same time, so that like concession stands and that happy businesses can grow up and grow around these animal shelters all around the world is a way to be able to also help segue the animals' positivity and the positive energy that comes from animals, which is a unique energy, which is like an asset type of energy, which comes from these animals, to be able to centralize and bring about this asset energy as a place to be able to be celebrated. So the animal shelters are places that are able to be celebrated, and people can go there to be able to sell things outside of there, to be able to bring awareness and attention to these places and these locations of extra special energy sources that are these places that have all these cats and dogs in one place in space, in all these different cities around and towns all around the land, all around the country, all around the USA, all around the world, in different cities all around the whole world. All around the world, there's a shelter system that is global, and I still have to learn more about that. But nonetheless, we're trying to focus on the unique animal energy that radiates from these animal shelters, because there's a concentration of animals in these animal shelters. And so we're trying to repurpose the markets to be able to realize the market value of this animal energy in a similar fashion that the fashion industry for dogs and cats world is not yet realized at the same time, because the radiation of this positive energy from animals is not yet also realized in the medical markets at the same time. And by the medical markets, I mean the spiritual health markets, which is in between the medical markets and the medicine markets and the wellness markets, basically. And that's where spiritual health lies. That's what connects all of the things of wellness, the circuitry of the human chemistry, of human science and scientific nature of human medicine, and the scientific nature of human health and the medical industry. Oh, it very much relies on spiritual health to be aligned for all things to be able to be functional in essence. So what we're trying to do is align all these items so that in essence, not only can dogs and cats become one of their own type of fashion industry, so that they can also help address the fashion industry for the dog and cat industry, and they can help design some of the fashion to be able to have it suit some of their personalities and suit the personality that they're trying to be in terms of their own unique cat and dog energy, to be able to help brand that cat and dog energy in their own type of brand. Whereas, in essence, just like people, they can take on their own personification and their own ability to be able to have an edutainment brand, which an edutainment brand is what they're educating the world about in terms of how their personal specific brand is able to help solve a specific niche in a specific market in a certain aspect of the world, to be able to help solve that problem. That's what the nature of demand and supply is. The demand exists in the world, and that's what a personal brand helps to fill, is that unique energy helps to solve a specific angle of a specific market within the demand and supply aspects of holes and problems that need to be solved around the whole world. And that is what's unique about different personal brands for human beings, but at the same time for dogs and cats. And especially if they can get good fashion and good jewelry and fashion alignment, or jewelry fashion, I should say, like little accessories that are on top of their fashion, to be able to characterize and make and costumify different dogs, then therefore they can also become contributors to the global entrepreneur economy, also adding value to the global philanthropy energy grid, because their personalities can help to inform and be educational, to be adding value in a similar way that artificial intelligence brands exist in the world also today, because they're just characters that don't even exist. But these are dogs and cats that physically exist in the in real life realm. And at the same time, those dogs and cats can take on a personification based upon something similar to an Instagram profile that's also on the blockchain. But at the same time, they're able to actually physically serve the spiritual health market for human beings, to help human beings then therefore fulfill their ability to be able to become entrepreneurs, to then therefore be able to help to add more so value, like assistance, like assistive teamwork nature, like a comic book where there's a sidekick of a dog or a cat more or less in every single episode, whereas in essence we want that energy to be able to be reciprocal, so the dogs and cats are able to feed energy, feed their animal energy, feed this animal unique spiritual positive asset energy into humans, into spiritual health, where the demand is at the current time also. So we're pipelining this animal energy into spiritual health for human beings to be able to leverage that, because that demand is there right now in the medical industry for this animal energy at the current time anyway. So once that demand is pipelined over there, then there's dual purpose conceptualization for how to continue to add value to the global philanthropy energy grid by continuing to solve problems around the world, by adding the animal energy to the human energy to be able to help improve personal brands and the edutainment brands that are connected to the snowflakes of every single snowflake human being in the planet, to then also attach a connection and a connectification between humans and their animals and their fostering animals and animals that they can just be fostering, and they can just give shout outs to the animals that are giving them powers based on their animal energy within their personal branding, and they can give them shout outs, and just like a collaboration in the social media world today, they can give them shout outs to their own personal brands. But because they're animals that are being fostered, and they need to bring more awareness to fostering animals as well, that are also trying to be adopted full-time necessarily, that those brands can benefit by being their own brands, and dog and cat brands can raise funds on the internet through being blockchain brands on blockchain social media platforms such as Base and such as Zora, for example, which are starting to come up into the world. And those type of things directly can add value and add money to them and their causes, but not only to their causes, but also to their owners, their future owners, as somewhat incentives for people to be able to adopt these animals full time and hold on to them long term at the same time, but also be good owners and be held accountable to being good owners in some blockchain fashion or one way or another. But either way, either that or to be fostered just so they can stay alive, just so these animals can stay alive, by also creating greater market demand and somehow tokenization of the animal energy that's within all of these animals at the same time, so that animal energy specifically can somehow become tokenized, so that that in of itself can be its own type of medicine, type of a process, to where that tokenization of that specific dog or what have you, or just the animal energy in of itself, is a tokenization that corresponds to human medicine. It's human medicine that tokenization is a representation of. It's human medicine for spiritual health. Human medicine for spiritual health. It's like adding a quarter into the spiritual health video game of human beings to be able to add value to the human being that in essence needs those quarters of animal energy dropped into their souls to be able to activate themselves as video games that are entrepreneurship, edutainment brands that in essence also need to illuminate themselves through specific costumes and through specific marketing and through specific fashioning and specific dressing up of a personal brand to be able to characterize themselves as a story which corresponds to how they're trying to solve problems in the global philanthropy energy grid and in the global world of philanthropy, which is also known as entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship should just be known as the philanthropy games. The philanthropy games, because in essence, they're trying to make a game and a sport to be able to go solve the problem and be able to get to the philanthropy result. It's like the gold at the end of the rainbow in essence. You're trying to get to the philanthropy end result, which is solving the problem, which is getting to the gold of the demand at the same time. It's trying to solve problems, having people be paying for problems, and at the same time, for the most part, the entrepreneurs that are trying to stand the test of time, after all, are focused on solving problems before money and monetary energy. It's really all about solving problems and collectively connecting with other people to be able to continue to play that sport, and that sport becomes a unique aligned energy with the source, place, and original source for the origination to try to solve a specific problem to begin with, which develops a sport for everybody who's also playing that sport, who's hired by that company to also be playing the game, to be able to facilitate their time and energy to work in the direction of solving that problem, of getting to that goal, of capturing that flag, of ending with that result, of getting that pot of gold at the end of that rainbow, in essence, which is more like a game than anything, because that gold can be representative more than anything of solving that problem. Basically, it's solving that problem. So it's needing to double down on the idea of wanting to solve problems in essence, and also being able to leverage the idea of how animal energy is able to be leveraged as an asset energy, which contributes directly like quarters into a video game, which helps people play more rounds of the video game to try to add more value to the global planet. And this is a reciprocal relationship that spins and spawns across every country in the whole world, between cats and dogs and shelter animals, and them needing to be fostered and them being able to feed into, like medicine, into the spiritual health of human beings, like quarters being added to these video games. And also cats and dogs are able to be their own personal brands and education and edutainment format through how they can dress up in the fashion industry and make unique fashionability from cats and dogs, because they have their own unique energy. And at the same time, that money which can be generated, which can be income on the blockchain and the tokenization of their animal energy, can help contribute to their own well-being as animals at the same time, to be able to take better care of the whatever cause that they're probably in the direction or most aligned with, which would most likely align with people that are fostering them, to be honest, people that are fostering them and just temporarily fostering them. We don't want people taking advantage of people trying to adopt animals just for money purpose. We want people that are fostering because they're temporary, and they're temporarily looking after them until they can find a forever home and an adopted home, which is not incentivized by money gains. It's just the fostering people which are able to look after animals, hopefully, well, basically it's both. It's both. But we just want people to not be incentivized by money to be adopting animals. We want fostering people to be realistically just trying to help the animals to fulfill their own potential, and then reciprocally the animals to be able to help humans to be able to help to fulfill their own potential at the same time. So realistically, everyone's trying to help each other play and have a good life after all, and the dogs are trying to help the humans play like kids again in their pursuit of business, so that all around the world, as they try to make the world a better place in the global philanthropy energy grid, and everybody's dressing up in weird, interesting costumes, especially the cats and dogs, which are inspiring the humans to be able to take more chances and be more goofy and silly and kid-like at the same time, and inspiring the whole world to be like that at the same time. Then we're also adding value to the global philanthropy energy grid by adding more philanthropy energy and doing more philanthropy energy and causing more philanthropy all around the world to be able to continue to catch on and continue to expand and spin and spawn and span around the whole world. All right, thanks again for now. Bye, Dinky Tech. Bye. Peace. Bye. Dinky Tech Change for Games. Dinky Tech Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.